He's a great ball player. Now, he was a special teams coach, I believe, at SC when Reggie Bush was there. I wouldn't mind asking him a little bit about that with everything going on with Reggie Bush right now and the USC suspensions.
What do you think about that, in your own opinion, if I might ask?
Well, listen, you know what? I really, first of all, understand this. I'm a Bruin. I went to UCLA. I'm a Bruin. But even being a Bruin, I'm sorry, USC does not deserve these sanctions. Sorry, doesn't deserve it, because it would be one thing if they found that USC gave this guy money under the table, or they somehow gave him a car or something to come to USC to play for them, okay? I could understand that. Well, let's go ahead and sanction the school because they did recruiting violations and things like that. You're not supposed to give kids money to come to your school and all those kinds of things. But we're talking about an agent or a potential agent that is going to give advantages to one of your kids, one of your players in the school, so that when the guy gets out and he becomes pro and he gets his money, that somehow you're going to make money off of him. How does that, why punish the school for that? I just don't see it. I'm sorry. The school did not sanction that. The school was not a part of that. This is just the shady things that happen, in college life, in college sports. And it's very unfortunate because these kids have to basically play for no pay, no money. Yeah, they get scholarships, but not all these kids go to the NFL. Not all these kids make it to the pros and make the money, and they're giving up their lives and everything and the school's making big money off these kids.
You know what, Larry, I'm going to put a little seed out there for you to because I'd like to hear you chew this one up. But I had a conversation recently with somebody about the same thing because, why punish the schools? They have nothing to do with it. B, why punish the player? He's just an 18-year-old kid. It doesn't take away from the fact that he performed to the best of his ability. The Heisman Trophy was his. He did. It's not like this agent or any kind of extracurricular dealings with anybody else enhanced his performance. Why not start putting sanctions on the different types of agencies that are able to have relationships with these kids, and really just start approaching sports agents from a legal point of view in that way.
Well, that's a great point. The problem that you have here, Frankie, with that in the case of like a Reggie Bush, and believe me, an agent who gets suspended. These agents are, as far as football goes, and I know a little bit about that because I was a licensed NFL player agent for 2 years, and that was back before the 93 collective bargaining agreement in the NFL changed the sport forever, and it's a landmark agreement, and everybody who's involved in the sport understands that the 93 CBA changed it forever. I was there before and after that agreement, and so I can speak from a little bit of knowledge on this. With the 93 CBA, one of the changes that came into being was that an agent had to be licensed by the NFLPA. And before the 93 CBA, an agent did not have to be licensed. And what that means is, before the 93 CBA, if you wanted your best friend, or let's say you wanted your dad to represent you, you're a star college player and you want your dad to represent you, you could have your dad represent you because he's someone you trust. You could do that. After the 93 CBA, you could still do that, but the difference is that your dad now had to go out and get licensed by the NFLPA first, and they would license him. I mean, the main thing that would prevent him from being licensed, or your friend or whoever you want, is if they were convicted of a felony. Anything, now, even if they were convicted of a felony, you could still get licensed, but that is a red flag to the NFLPA, and they would ask you about it. They would want to know the circumstances of it, and, if it was plausible or, whatever the excuse was, they still may license you. But that would be about almost the only thing that could hold you back. Of course, you also had to pay their fees. That was a given. Now, my point is, what's the difference, licensed or unlicensed? The difference is, if you're licensed, you then must abide by the rules put out by the NFLPA for the agents. And if you put out, if you have to put up with the rules, and now one of the rules is you can't pay players or approach players before they come up for graduation and give them money and give them cars, and you violate that, they can now suspend you, okay? And if you're suspended, believe me when I tell you, that is a serious black mark. I know agents that have been suspended. They have lived through it. They've come out the other side, and they, some of them can make it, some of them can't. But the problem is, once you've been suspended, anytime you're recruiting a big-time player, you have to explain yourself, because all the other agents that are recruiting that player, they're telling them, hey, man, this guy was suspended. He stole from a player. He took that player's money and he put it in his pocket. He did this. He did that. He was suspended. They all talk about each other, okay? It's a really, really dirty business, okay? So I know we're going to be going to a break in a couple of minutes, but the problem with the Reggie Bush case is you had a guy who was not a licensed agent that was allegedly giving Reggie money, houses, cars, so that when Reggie got out, he could then deliver him to an agent. So how are you going to sanction a pimp? How are you going to, sanction a friend? How are you going to sanction a guy who has no sanctioning body? So that's the problem you have there. It wasn't an agent that is accused of doing this. So anyway, I think we have a break coming up. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, you got it.
You want to go now, or you want me to stretch?
Yeah, we'll go right now.
Don't go away. We'll be right back, and we're going to try and get Big Sam on the phone, okay?
Yeah.